Your video production workflow is probably costing you thousands in lost time and frustrated clients. Even if you are a solo YouTube creator, you still might lose a lot of your precious hours in life. But if you work with clients, then this video is also for you because it'll help you get organized and get a more streamlined approach to your video editing and storage efforts. After 12 plus years of shooting and editing videos for YouTube and helping probably over 50 clients streamline their production workflows, I've seen, to be honest, the same costly mistakes destroy project timelines and, probably worst of all, client relationships. And this is obviously, especially if you work with clients, what you have to avoid because it will ruin your reputation. In the next minutes of this video, I'll show you the exact folder structure, the exact collaboration system, and client workflow that we're using. Plus, I'm also giving you a free Mac script that creates this entire folder structure with just one click. Now, I know what you guys might be saying. Oh, Mauricio, there are dedicated cloud storage solutions for editing videos in the cloud and commenting, but in this video, I'm going to use sync.com. And as you know, if you watch my channel, sync.com is one of my favorite cloud storage services because it offers end-to-end encryption. So not only can you work within your team and create your entire video production workflow, but also you can work entirely securely with your team. So if you work with sensitive clients, for example, in the legal space, where there might be, let's say, internal training documents that your client doesn't want to see in just any cloud, then this video is for you because sync.com is Canada-based and all their servers are stored in Canada, but with the end-to-end encryption, no one else but you have the encryption keys and can see what is actually stored on those servers. But before we get started, let me show you the hidden cost that's eating your profits right now. I mean, look at this disaster. I think we've all seen those messy projects with random folders everywhere, different file names that are super hard to identify, and there even might be raw footage scattered across personal Dropbox accounts. There are some final cuts living in someone's local drive and you don't know whose. And then client feedback is buried in some email chain. And that is something that probably has to change if you want to work effectively. We're not going to solve every problem here, but we can sort the file organization problem out. Here's essentially what this mess is going to cost you, right? Because in a project, you have usually a timeline. The timeline starts with, obviously, with the project start, and then it should finish, right? That's obvious so far. Finish. Oh, look at my beautiful handwriting here. Huh? It should finish, and you allocate a budget, say $6,000. But if you've ever worked with people in a team, you know things just come up. The video editor gets sick. The graphic designer cannot find the recent assets for the video to create the motion graphics. Then something else happens, right? And everything might get a little bit delayed. So this project doesn't end up costing you $6,000. It might even cost you $7,000 in the end because of bad organization. But here's what changes everything. And it's actually easier than you think. So before we actually get started getting into the weeds of setting up user roles and preparing the system, I just want to walk you quickly through what sync.com offers you as a content or video creator or as a video production house, right? Because there might be different plans that are right for your needs. Now in this video, we're going to be using the Sync Teams Unlimited account. So we have the best flexibility in terms of how we set and structure everything. But maybe you say, hey, well, I don't actually need that. So I can go for a little bit of a cheaper plan, right? So on the sync.com website, you can see that you can get started for free with a 5 GB account. Now this account is very limited, very restricted. So you can use that to like dip your toe into the waters and see like, is it something for me? But what we're going to do, we're going to look at the pricing of what Sync has to offer. It depends a little bit whether you are an individual or whether you are a team. In this case, I assume that you're going to collaborate with a few more people. The Teams Plus Unlimited, which gives you the best flexibility, is $15 per user per month. It's billed monthly or annually. You can basically choose. And you have the option to get a 30-day free trial. So if you know you are in for a little bit of a larger account with more users, You can sign up here, and then the first 30 days are absolutely at no cost to you. They would just then bill you after the first month, essentially. So here's the overview of the plans that you have: the Solo Basic, Solo Pro, Team Standard, and Teams Unlimited, right? So the Teams Unlimited plan, as the name suggests, gives you unlimited storage. So there's no limitations as to the file size or the amount of storage that you update, but it comes with a minimum amount of 3 users. So this is basically $15 per user per month. So you're looking at $45 per month in the limited tier, so to speak, right? It comes with a lot of other good features that are probably relevant for video creators. Another thing that I want to point out is the 365-day version history. So for a whole year, you can basically rewind the files that you've created in your account, and the mistakes that you make, you can easily pull them back and restore that previous version. That is very useful, especially if you work with multiple people who might not be as technically savvy and might save a file erroneously. So the 365-day history is something that is highly important for any team to work with. The reason why we're signing up for the Teams Unlimited plan is that we want to have all of these controls, right? We want to have role-based access, right? Because we want to define specific roles for certain people in a team. We need the admin role delegation, and we also want the 2-factor authentication policy that you can enforce based on each role. And you only get this here in the Teams Unlimited account. So that's just good for you to know. But as I said, if you are a solo creator, or if you just have a very small team needs and you don't really feel that you need the permissions, then basically the normal pricing of the Team Standard is probably just good enough for you, right? So if you go up to the Team Standard, which is $6 per user per month, that might be enough, and it gives you 1 terabyte per user. Or you would even go to the Solo Pro plan that gives you 6 terabytes, but it only has like one user, right? So this is just, you cannot invite any more users into your account, which means you cannot control a lot what other people do. You can still share links, which we're going to see also in this video, but the overall control of what you can do is very much limited. In this video also, I'm going to use the Cloud Files version of Sync.com. It means that when you download the Cloud Files software version, the files are not being synced to your computer. So it saves hard drive space. And this is quite convenient if you're working with large files that are gigabytes and gigabytes and gigabytes in size, and you are traveling frequently on a laptop, but you need access to those files, right? They will not occupy space on your computer, but you still have access to the files if you need them, and you can upload files if you want them. So you can see here at the top is the Sync.com icon, right? So there is where you can access the Sync software and do all the settings. We're not going to dig deeper into a lot of the settings that you can do here, because that would be a little too long for the video. Instead, we are going to look at our Sync folder. So here in the sidebar in my Macintosh computer, in Windows it would look similar. Obviously, it works in the same way. Any file that we're adding in here, right? Any file that gets in here looks like it is on our computer, but it's actually not. That comes with the advantage of the Cloud Files structure. Okay, I promise you it's going to be interesting. So in this section here, you can see that I'm both logged into the Sync client on my Macintosh, but also I'm actively using the web interface of Sync.com to manage all my files. So there's a twofold advantage of that, right? You can have more granular control of what you're doing actually on the web panel. So this is where you would configure all your roles, your users, and everything else. And from the software that you install on your computer, you have a good overview of your files and what's actually happening, or you can also very easily import files into the Sync. Now, what I've told you before is that we're using the Cloud Files version of Sync.com here, which means that anything you see here is actually not really on my computer. It's not taking up any hard drive space. But you can very easily, if you are finished shooting, you can take your hard drives and you can take your SSD cards or SD cards and then move your raw footage into these active projects right here, and it will be stored safely and securely encrypted in the cloud. Now, keep in mind, for the Macintosh the software is still in beta. In my testing, it worked well, but it's still in beta status. If you're using Windows, this seems to be the active version that they're using and recommending. The Macintosh version is still in beta, but it works fine. So on here, you can see that I've created my standard folder structure, right? So I have my active projects where any new projects that I starts in here, and then it would go through the different stages. So if I'm working for a client, it would go to the client folder, right? In the client delivery when everything is finished. And then once the project is wrapped up, it would move into the archived projects. The beauty of this is your archived projects never clutter your active projects, right? So this is actually great if you finish something and then you can move it off of your active folder directory and free up your mind space and also the space here in this folder. And inside that folder, you can see there is a folder structure that I always create automatically with my script that I've showed you or that I've alluded to in the beginning, where on a click of a button, I can create this folder structure here: project brief, raw footage, work in progress, client reviews. And obviously you can modify that towards your needs if you already have a folder structure that's working for you. But if not, you can take inspiration from that. As I said, inside sync.com, we're on the web panel here. And on the web panel, we have a lot more options to set up users and roles. And this is why I've decided to sign up for the Team Unlimited version, because it allows me to actually actively manage user roles without having to invite individuals into different folders. And this is a good advantage, especially if you hit the 5 to 10 user mark. You can organize everything in a more streamlined way. So when you look at here you can invite individual users to sync.com. But the tab that we're going to look at first is the user roles tab right here, right? So when you click on that, you can see there's already the admin role here that can do pretty much everything. It can edit, it can share links, it can delete files, it can do everything that an admin should be able to do in the account, right? And then there is a contributor role that I've set up before, where it could be a video editor, it could be a graphic designer that has very limited ability here, as you can see. It cannot do much in the sync folder. Now we're going to set up a new role here, which could be, for example, in case you are a production agency, it could be a project manager, right? So you get a new role and you type in the role name, which is, project manager. And here you can set up different things, what this role needs to do. So 2-factor authentication on first login, always a good idea for added security. In this case, we do want to enable that. We don't want this project manager to add, remove, or edit users. We want the administrator to do that only. So we're going to leave that unchecked. Also, we don't want it to manage rules and purge files. So all of this is for me, reserved for admins. But the project manager should be able to create shared folders and create links to files and folders. Very important if a project is finished, and that should be handed off to the respective client, right? And we're going to leave this one, the link passwords. We're going to leave that here as optional because we might want to choose one or the other, right? We might want to protect a file or a link with a password or with an expiry date, depending on what we're doing. For example, if we're sending out a contract, you might want to say, okay, this contract link expires in 3 days, right? So that will not be shared anymore. Okay, now that everything is set up, you click on Create Role. That role is successfully created. And then now we can use that role to define your folders and who has access to those folders, right? Okay, so how do we actually then assign a role to someone that's invited? And this is also quite easy to do when you go into the User and Roles tab again. Now, I have essentially invited myself here into this account. So I am a project manager. The account status is essentially active. When you invite a user, you can invite one via email, or you can upload a CSV with user IDs, essentially with user emails if you have a lot of users to invite, but most probably you're just going to go one by one by email. And you can then add the email address. Now, when that user that you want to invite already has a sync.com account, that user needs to change their email address, and then you can invite that to your team if you want to manage that user within your team. If the user does not have a sync.com account yet, they will get an invitation to sign up for the account, set a password, and then if you've enabled two-factor authentication, they will also get a two-factor code whenever they log in. And you can define a role here that this user is going to be assigned to, which is quite convenient. So this is what I've done with this user here. And now I can actually go ahead and use this project manager role right here to assign to the respective folder that I want. So I go back into my files, into my active projects, because I don't want the project manager to get access to the entire structure, right? I don't want them to see maybe company assets where I store my invoices. So in this case, I only want them to invite maybe to the team resources because he needs certain team assets, and to the active projects, right? Not to the entire active projects folder, but maybe just to the current client that we've created here. So you can see there is a share folder icon. And you can now start to see, okay, what is that we're going to do here? So we're going to share it with the user role project manager, and then they will get the exact same permissions that you've set up within that user role. I can then set OK invite, and now Mauricio at cloudworks.net will be invited to be viewing this folder, and they can do whatever I've defined previously inside that folder. You might be asking, well, why don't I just go into the folder and say, I don't know, share as link, or maybe manage shared folder. Why don't I just add Mauricio manually to add to this folder here, right? Because obviously with just 3 users, it might be overkill to create different roles. But if you start to get 5, 10 users, it will get very obvious why you need roles, because whenever a person leaves your company, you would then have to go through each and every folder and remove that person individually from all the folders that you've shared with them, right? So, but if you've organized everything into user roles, the only thing that you have to do is you go into your user roles and click into, okay, let's edit this one, and then you can remove, either you can delete the entire rule, which we don't want, but you can then go ahead and view users and remove the user from the group, and therefore it will lose all the access that this group has access to, and you save a lot of time. So to get the folder structure that we've seen in my video, the only thing that you need to do is you need to open Apple Script, and every Mac user has Apple Script already installed. If not, you can just search for it, Apple Script Editor, and there it is. And what you would do is you would just copy and paste the script that you downloaded into this window. And if you need to adjust the folders, you can adjust the folders right in here. So there maybe you name the folders differently, or you have different requirements. And what you would do is you would save the script as an application. So save as, and here you pick the file format application, right? And then you click save. So this script, when you double click it, will actually create the folder structure. It will first ask you where you want to store this folder structure, and in this case, I do want it to be in active projects, because say I'm starting a new project with a new client. You hit choose, and then here you can say, okay, this is my new client. Well, first you want to give it maybe the year 2025 client. ABC. And then if you have another project description, you can give it a project description here, image, video, whatever. So, okay. And then, yeah, the structure is created successfully, which is good. Going back to our sync folder, we can now go to active projects, remove that. And here you can see it created the folder structure with every folder that we need for the project. In this case, we have raw footage. And what I would start now doing is essentially adding my A roll and my B roll into the different folders here, and also the audio, obviously, because once you've secured your footage, then everything else is easier, and you can be rest assured that your files are not going to get lost. Let's just do it, right? Let's just add some footage into this folder structure. So here is my my SSD card. I'm going to open that in a new Finder window. I'll just quickly navigate to the correct folder. So say I want to add this clip into the A roll. So I'm going to just drag and drop it straight from the SD card into the A roll. Obviously, there's a different workflow that you should be doing. So if you are locally connected, then you can offload everything to a network attached storage device. So you have an additional copy not only on your SD card, but for the purposes of this video as a demonstration, I'm going to just transfer all the video footage from the SD card into the sync.com folder to show you it works directly, right? So this is the A roll, and then say, okay, pick another one. This one is one of the B-roll clips, right? So I'm going to add that one to B-roll. I'm not going to add audio now because it's the same process. I would have to switch the SD cards here, but you can see what happens here in the background. It is transferring the file into sync.com. It would work on uploading everything. Now, as I said before, sync.com is end-to-end encrypted, so only you are in control of your encryption keys, and no one else on sync.com's team could actually see your files. So whatever the video production that you're doing, rest assured, everything is encrypted and safe. So only you and your client has access to the end result, essentially. What you can see here is essentially the status of the upload of your file. Obviously, this is a smaller file here of roughly one gigabyte, and this one is a larger file, so it will take longer for it to upload. But you see, once the icon changes, that your file has actually been uploaded successfully to the cloud. And also here at the top where the sync icon is, you can also see what are the recent items that have been transferred to sync.com's servers. The same goes for when you actually go here on the web interface. When you check your files, it will show you what's been uploaded. So when we go here into our folder structure and go to raw footage, and we look at A roll, so obviously now things start to populate. It will take a while until it's loaded because it's not there yet. It will show once everything is ready and uploaded for you. So everything will be synchronized. All right. I hope I could show you in this video or get you at least some ideas on how you can use a team cloud storage environment for your company. This can be a video production house, but this can be any company basically. And you can use my script that I've created that I leave you in the description box below to create an entire folder structure for you. It's very easy to adapt essentially to your folder structure if you have something else in mind, or you can just use mine if you want to try that out. So I just want to summarize and briefly wrap this video up. So the first thing that I think is super important that you do in any environment, and that's why I'm going to put it first, is organize. And I do like to have a specific organization structure, both in terms of my folders, but also in terms of my files. Because as I alluded to in the beginning, when people have to look for files for too long, it's going to cost you money. That's why keep a good file hierarchy and also a good file naming system. Next, obviously, find the right plan. Find the right plan for you. So, do you need an enterprise account with 10, 20, 30 users, or is maybe the individual plan right for you? In the description box, I have all the links to sync.com, so you can basically check it out and then find the plan that you need. There's a 30-day free trial, so you can test it out, see if it really suits your needs, if it works in your company, in your workflow, and if you need help, drop us a comment. We're happy to help you there as well with the setup. And third of all, what I've done, make use of the cloud files system, which, as I've shown you before, it will save you a lot of hard drive space, right? Because it will keep the copy in the cloud, but not occupy anything on your computer. So work with the cloud files structure. That is essentially very, very important. And along the lines of the point number one, where I say, okay, organize, work with user roles, right? Because if you don't work with user roles, the problem is that especially if your team grows, and hopefully it does, then you have to remove the users from each and every individual folder that you have instead of just managing everything with a role. And user roles are not something that Sync.com invented. You can use this with Google Drive, you can use this with other cloud storage services, but it makes everything much easier. So I hope you enjoyed this kind of like a tutorial walkthrough type of thing. And also I showed you a little bit of how I work and how I organize my things. If you like this video, give it your thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and we're going to see us in my next video. Bye-bye.